Ready for takeoff as we begin another Thursday. It is actually Thanksgiving Day. A big, massive, huge shout out and happy Thanksgiving to all our American friends out there, all around the world. As we continue to set sail and rocket through, I'm almost seeing a spaceship here in space. This is new with a big pirate flag on it. Welcome back, Artist Journal, November 23rd, 2023, broadcasting after the gym with Jim Hare in Berlin, Germany. And my name is Adrian Pocobelli, and welcome back. And many of you will recognize this artist. And as I haven't said for a while, if you don't, you should. This, of course, is the great, I was going to say Tezos artist, but really Haiti Rocket works along. It's Haiti Rocket, if you don't know. I think mints along on other blockchains, but he is kind of like to a certain degree, and I don't want to overstate it, and I don't think he's ever declared himself as such, but he's a Tezos classic to a large degree. In a lot of ways, Haiti Rocket is these Nintendo glitch ROMs, which he really does his own way, with his own style and his whole kind of, I almost want to say, for lack of a better term, like internet Tumblr vibe. He's kind of like there was Rata, whose work I had to buy, but I mean, it was, if you look on my collection on Object, you'll see in like the first or second page, the Haiti Rockets start to show up. And so one of the very earliest artists who I discovered on Object as I started looking at other people's collections and just looking around, looking on the internet, or on X, what used to be Twitter back then. And in a weird way, there was something about the vibe of Haiti Rocket's work that, to a certain degree, it was actually, like, they talk about social proof, right? We haven't talked about this concept for a long time, where, the Amazon, review is your classic example of social proof, where if you go to the Amazon page and you think, oh, maybe I want this book, maybe I don't, and then you read a whole bunch of incredible reviews about how great it is, and then you really want to buy it. That's social proof, where a few other people are saying how great it is. The testimonial, a marketing kind of elemental marketing, pillar of marketing. So for me, I mean, I'm speaking very kind of obliquely and abstractly here. For me, Haiti Rocket kind of represented, I don't know if social proof is the right word, actually. He represented a kind of credibility that I was looking for, and I felt like I hadn't really, like, he enabled me to get really invested, I would like to say, intellectually, artistically, in what was happening on Tezos. It's kind of easy to understand, but it's still hip and cool. And look at this. I mean, it's very, you might say, gallery friendly, I would argue, in its vibe, at least, in its composition. Look at the odd negative space. In its, embracing of incoherence, right? And so there's something it was the poetry, ultimately, and it's quite a thing, to have such a extensive poetry doing glitch ROMs. And we've seen it with other glitch ROM artists, too, who we're going to see. There's actually quite a few glitch ROMs. We have Mason the Third in this episode. We have Silva Santus. We have Glitch Arcade. So a lot of great works. We're going to see a few more. But these, I have a sentimental feeling. And I have to say, this work in itself, with almost no text, no context, really, some game I've never seen before, beautiful colors, I might add, putting it all together, and wonderful negative space. Again, this kind of like what you might feel, it almost looks like noise, right? It's like kind of, but in a glitch ROM sort of way. Again, it was kind of like this punk poetry, there's a punkedness to this, because of course this is using a glitch technique. of taking a video game and kind of messing around with the mechanics of it, the code, and then you start getting different results, which you don't know how they're going to turn out. So just a beautiful work. And again, just kind of on that reptilian level, it's kind of the work that kind of shouted out to me, and kind of, that battle that takes place here 4 mornings a week privately here, kind of made its way to the top of the hill here. So yeah, Haiti Rocket out of Turkey, another great artist out of Turkey. So let's see what this is called, if I can figure this out here. If I can just... There we go. FF. And of course, Haiti Rocket has been using a lot of kind of capital and small case and large case letters recently, as you see in his name here. Very, again, playful artist, lame, kind of fun, very internet-y, so just very cool. Edition of 6, just out of curiosity, let's see what happened here. Sold for only 13 Tezos. As he likes to do, he'll mint like 9,900, basically 10,000, and then he'll burn them after like 10 minutes or however long. So just a really nice piece here. Here's another one that was released, and let's look at this. And I've seen him actually, we can actually open his page really briefly here. I've seen him actually work with this game before, the skateboarding game. So it's coming back, done differently, interestingly. And so just very fun, cool skateboarding, palm trees, and everything. The other one looks like some sort of anime game or something, just cool. Hollywood there. And here's his page. And look at all the experimentation. And that's something else that I think needs to be mentioned here as we discuss Haiti Rocket, is this kind of what I would call whimsical experimentation. It kind of fits perfectly with Object and Tezos to a certain degree, because it's kind of like cheaper artworks, like in terms of the cost. So, which kind of breeds a bit more of an experimental, atmosphere and vibe, because of course, just to mint on Ethereum probably would have cost Haiti Rocket, $30, maybe more, right? Whereas here it's like 10 cents, 20 cents, and everything. So as you see here, all sorts of experiments done here, and I'm sure does very well. Like probably, one of those few artists who could probably live off of this, especially in somewhere like Turkey, which has had this massive inflation problem. So very interesting, and just a great collector too. Here we is this. This is Haiti Rockets. Just a great collector too. So here, look at this. I learned a lot. I discovered Kurt Hustle Collective through Haiti Rocket. So all to say, just a really cool artist to get us started here. And again, back to this whimsicality, this whimsicalness. I guess we call it whimsicality, dream. And again, it looks like similar to what we saw with the Pepes and the Happy Faces. It's almost like there's an algorithm of sort, or some sort of software that Haiti has discovered, where you just put in one image and then it starts to create some sort of movement. And now just, so all he has to do is put dream in, and then maybe just organize the structure a little bit, and bam, another artwork. So sometimes this business, look at how beautiful this is too, and the green is well chosen. When this business is working for you, what a great business this is. Mint for 20 cents, sell for whatever you feel. It's almost 100% margin, in terms of your entrepreneurial enterprise here. So very cool, and big shout out and thank you on the program here to Luke 500, who actually is going to be on the Twitter space. That was decided before this purchase, by the way, just for full transparency. I asked him actually about 2 or 3 weeks ago. But he picked up actually my work on ordinals here, and so that is super exciting. And there's the work, the SH101, done in dithering. So this is about, I think, 4 kilobytes, maybe 4.3. And so, yeah, it's pretty interesting. This is the actual size. which I find interesting as well. And so what I posted on Twitter was a kind of a, when you export times 5 or whatever, this is the actual size. So it's, I think 200, yeah, here it is. But I have to say, there's something wonderfully delightful about, I thought I hadn't hit record for a second. There's something wonderfully delightful about working in such small file sizes. Quick note, I think it was last show, I went 20 minutes in and I was like, I didn't hit record or I pressed the wrong button, so I had to restart. Just kind of funny note there behind the scenes with Adrian Pocobelli. So anyways, thank you, Luke 500. And look at how small it is. Like, and there's something just like, and the reason I'm sharing with it and kind of dwelling on it a bit is because there's something almost surprisingly delightful about making these little, GIFs on the Bitcoin blockchain because of size constraints. In other words, financial constraints on minting, because that still costed, after all the fees, maybe $45 to mint in a quieter time, right? And just actually a quick note on the, and I brought up actually Magic Eden here. Quick note on the costs. Like the way I've been measuring it, and I am definitely not an expert, I have minted now 3 pieces here. And the way I measure the cost, because there's quite a bit of interest actually about this whole ordinals thing. So that's why I'm kind of dwelling on this a little bit, is the way I measure the costs for minting, if it's worth it, is basically $10 per kilobyte. So if it's below $10 per kilobyte for the final cost, I consider it a good deal in terms of minting. So if it's 5 kilobytes and it's only costing you 40 after it's all said and done, I hit mint. That's been my rough thing. Maybe if Bitcoin goes down, that price lowers. But generally, just to give you a very rough gauge, if you're loaded up and you don't know what's going on, try loading it up to see what it'll cost like 2 hours later. And you might see, you're going to get a different cost. So just so you know. And so I did a couple of more here, and they're basically the same one with different color backgrounds. So playing with this kind of digital copy thing, and it just felt like the thing to do because I liked both backgrounds. And I decided, you know what, there's just the orange version and there's the gray version. And I'm okay with that. And so there it is. This is the 100%. I just wanted to show you the size. Because again, it's kind of delightfully small. And we can always remember what Rada has told us and informed us all that if you do nearest neighbor in Photoshop for transform, this thing can be infinitely huge. So that's kind of the beauty of this, is you kind of put the minimum size of the blueprint in order to, reduce the cost. But then this thing could be like 100 meters long and you're still going to have perfect resolution as long as you do the transform in Photoshop, but that's totally doable, right? So here's the orange, here's the gray, right? So it kind of, so pixel art, in other words, lends itself very well, is sort of like another takeaway on this experience here. So that is why, and it's just, again, this canvas is a little bigger, maybe 290 by 210 pixels. So this one was a little bit more expensive. Both of these were a little bit more expensive, but one was 9 kilobytes, and I think the other might have been 11. And I got it for, it sounds like a ridiculous amount of money. I just used the profits from the last one. Finally, I don't want to dwell on this too long, but I used the profits from the first one to basically pay for the fees for these two. And basically it was 20 kilobytes that I got for like 150, and I thought I got a deal, but let's see. So we'll see if they sell. Those are on the Magic Eden page. And again, Magic Eden, if you're looking for just a simple way to inscribe, you just go to Mint Inscribe here and you can get to work. And if people have more questions, we can always, if you have questions, just let me know and we'll go through it here, because it's kind of got my full attention right now. And here, Tegenhoff actually wrote an article. We're going to look at it next. But also Acid Boy. Remember last episode we were noticing the ordinals, preparing something for ordinals. So In a thread, Tegenhoff, yes, thanks to Acid Boy, I became aware of Inscribable XYZ. Inscribable empowers creators to launch collections and on exotic sats at zero cost. So maybe I could have saved myself $150 here. That's pretty interesting. Maybe it's kind of like a lazy mint function. So maybe I should be using this, because the way I'm doing it now is maybe not the smartest way to do it, just so you know. So here's a little bit more alpha as we continue our journey here. And this looks like the work from last episode, Life of Dots, created by Acid Boy, total minted 1, and interesting mint price here. So how much? Now we can actually see what so this is 0.07 for basically, there's a gray one and an orange one. This other one, there's an addition of 10. So this is probably about, if we divide this in two, it'll be probably around $125 for this Acid Boy per mint. Just to give you all the details. These are all the questions I ask myself as I go through it. In search of art on the Bitcoin blockchain. So Tegenhoff has been tracking this, and this just came out 2 days ago. And big shout out to Tegenhoff for kind of putting me in here at the very end. So that is awesome. Another artist who is trying his luck on ordinals. So very cool there. And just more kind of alpha finally on this whole making small file sizes. DIID, I thought this was only 45 kilobyte SVG, is my most ambitious animation project yet, standing at a 20-second infinite loop. So somehow getting a 20-second loop, this one here is what I think is going on, at only 45 kilobytes. So again, if we're to apply our formula, then let's say on a good day, maybe could be minted for 400. Like let's say for $7 or $8 per kilobyte times 45, maybe for 300, on a really lucky day, maybe $375, not cheap. Maybe you do the lazy minting or whatever's going on at Inscribable XYZ, which I'll be going to after I finish this episode. Big thank you to everybody who came out. Slime, happy Thanksgiving to Slime out of Dallas for coming on lines. And thank you to Runetoon. We had a nice discussion here on ordinals and on several issues, AI and video and everything. Again, Michele wasn't feeling well, so we'll reschedule for another time. And so nice open lines, and thank you everybody who attended. So that was great. And still 82 there on just a last minute open line. So thrilled about that. Quick comments on last show. Runetoon, I know you want to be shorter, and I understand why that might be your goal, the show. I know you want the show to be shorter, and I understand why that might be the goal, but I do love all the content. Both the commentary and the shared artworks I love in equal measure, and I'm glad that you start off each show with the commentary first to set the theme for the rest of the show. Sometimes I watch the commentary half first and view the artworks later. Okay, so interesting. I have to say I really enjoy the commentary part too. If anything, it would probably be reducing artworks, because there are probably too many artworks. But, in a sense, if people are enjoying it, I think in an ideal world, again, it would be half an hour and it wouldn't take up as much of my time or everybody else's. I'm glad to hear some people work during the show, because that's also, frankly, a concern. I don't want to be just like some, video, someone just eating up people's time. I hope you're multitasking. And if you're not, maybe get out an iPad or a phone. But I appreciate the attention. And again, I'm a terrible multitasker, so I guess do whatever makes sense for you. Santiago Isacodal, a crash course on programming-based digital art would come handy. Yeah, so I'm not, you can't do everything. I mean, in terms of if you meant in my regard, I'm not a big generative art person at the end of the day. I appreciate that other people appreciate it. Let's put it that way. But, if you're talking about Acid Boy, again, but it's sort of it's almost it reminds me of the interactive art. I'm just basically neutral on it. I could take it or leave it, but I think it's cool what people do and what they have done. But you can't do everything. So, but interesting. It sure would. Continuing on, Murakita, first comment, thank you, and big shout out. And Mick Renders, much love, Poco. Been a rough one, but we continue onwards as you must. What do they say? There's the great saying. Of course, Mick Renders just lost his job. There's that great saying in London, a general whose name I forget, defeat into victory, which means turn defeat into victory. Sometimes these terrible moments can be the greatest thing that ever happened to you. Continuing on, just a few more, and this was hilarious. Zhu Ziliang. Do I have your name right? Yes, Zhu Ziliang, watching Artist Journal. So isn't that awesome? Thank you for the photo there. And also, Acid Boy, great to hear from you. Again, the master of psychedelic abstraction, JNK, we're going to have a Kurt Hustle Collective work in this show. And Yagiz, Dan Kelly, thank you for the link to the video. And Pixel Lord and Trippy Collector and Sense, thank you for the comments. So, again, we've been discussing the physical-digital debate, and we've been long interested over here in how we render digital art in a physical way. So here we're seeing, a very, impressive, look at this, like a very impressive approach by Spiegel's Meskinen here. As we see that beautiful signature. We've been looking at these works. I don't remember seeing this one, though. They look like beautiful prints here. And I loved actually the text on this tweet. Look at this one. So very cool. And again, like you could take different color papers. Like you could go Warhol on these as well. And this could be black and you could have colored paper. But so I'm kind of the more the merrier increasingly. Again, it's kind of back to this idea that I think, like, especially, like, if you go back to, like, Picasso and Warhol, that being prolific and just putting a ton of work out there was part of the game of just kind of, like, spreading your artwork as far and as far as you can in every little corner, have expensive ones, have cheap ones, have every market cornered or covered, and everything. So very impressive here. And I love this tweet, actually, print screen, which of course used to be on keyboards. I don't think it is anymore. Here are the works now on Foundation. So we're going to get kind of like a little bit more focused on, so you see here. So again, we've been talking about this kind of tension between making, remember Ugo42's comment, if I make a digital NFT, an NFT of a digital file, can I make a print edition? And I was saying, of course you can. But, so we're looking at what Spiegels is doing. And what's interesting is I think he's linking up, and I brought up the description text here. I think he's linking up, one of these editions of the NFT with the print, if I'm not mistaken. 400 by 500 pixels. This is kind of like a master class as well in kind of description, professional description text. 400 by 500 pixels, scaled times 10, one frame, one color. So I guess it's a GIF if it's a frame. Maybe a PNG. Collectors will receive a museum quality giclée print, dimensions 40 by 50 centimeters. So you see here, like this is worth bookmarking, I would say to you, if you ever plan on doing this. Printed with Pantone colors on 250 gram acid-free paper. This is a master class here on how to kind of, present yourself professionally, I would argue. Signed and numbered in pencil by the artist, edition of 10. Please claim your print at this form here. Made for the desktop, a solo exhibition by Spiegels Meskinen at Brix Gallery, Copenhagen, 2023. So a real, again, masterclass in description text here. And selling to Xcopy, probably, right up there with Beeple as one of the most renowned artists in the entire space. Spiegels Meskinen, 4 icons sold to Legendary Xcopy Art. Legendary Xcopy, thank you so much. Shipping the custom LED panels real soon. So I guess, again, these icons from my recent show, The Desktop in Copenhagen. So maybe again, like it sounds like maybe he's selling also the screens themselves as artworks as with NFTs. So just another way of doing it. Very impressive so far. And you saw Uxine there as well. This is kind of interesting. So, of course, we saw this painting go. Then this account, Alan Survey, the canvas, Jeremy Hodgkin, is ready to say the whispers are officially true. This is the talk. Jeff Bezos, Amazon's mastermind, was the secret buyer of Picasso's Femme à la Montre at Sotheby's on November 8th for $140 million. And so here is the screenshot of the article. Our sources tell us that Bezos doesn't currently work with any traditional advisors. One would expect a billionaire of his stature to engage in building his collection. Again, I think the art world is actually in the process of being disrupted. Because I think people are just saying, you know what? A lot of people go to museums these days, and a lot of people have a fairly, impressive. It's not like the 1980s anymore where it was like a small cadre of the population were kind of into art. Now it's kind of like, if you're not into art, what's wrong with you? Like I remember in 2007 telling people how I thought, or maybe it was 2010, how I was telling people at a sort of around that time, I was like, I feel like art's becoming really cool again or something. Like it's kind of art is becoming trendy. And I remember the feedback I was getting was agreement, which was interesting. And it's kind of, part of a larger cultural thing that happened. Everybody's cool now. And I would argue it's very much the internet. The internet has made it, people are becoming more cultured. You could argue on a larger level. And in a sense, the counterculture has become the dominant culture, to a certain degree. And so to wrap it back to this, maybe Jeff Bezos and his, they probably have, as it says here, he's opted to manage his art dealings through his family office. The office has recently brought on board 2 to 4 experts, probably some friends who know stuff about art, specifically tasked with overseeing research, return on investment analysis, and negotiations for Bezos's burgeoning art collection. And this is a very important point here. People say, collect what you like and you'll never lose. But when you're talking $140 million, return on investment analysis, like any of the big collectors who are spending more than $1 million on a piece, I mean, you have to look at that. You can't just be throwing $1 million and say, no, just because I like it, right? I mean, you can. But I guess my point is this is, it highlights the importance of art as an investment, as a store of value, right? So here's Bezos. And to me, this is very bullish on the entire scene, because sooner or later, when these people get bored of their Picassos, like I've been, and I don't want to overstate it, but I think a lot of us are kind of bored with another Picasso show. And maybe I'm just speaking for myself here, but and okay, again, when I see a Picasso show, I just think, oh no, another Picasso show. And I respect Picasso. I like Picasso's work. But once these people are looking for something a little different, hello, basically blockchain, hello, Tezos, potentially, who knows? That's because, and the reason I say that, we were discussing this with Rune Toon yesterday. He's saying, I'm liking the things I'm seeing on my screen more than what I'm often seeing in the galleries in New York. Okay. And I've been kind of preaching this as well for about a year. And so when I was in Munich in May, I was thinking to myself, as I was looking at the 19th century Impressionism, I just want to see a big Sabato piece here. That's kind of what my brain was just going, I just want a big Sabato. That's what I want to see here. And I was just I was thinking about the work online and how exciting it was. That's what was going through my head. And that's interesting. Okay, continuing on. Rarible. So Rarible, how long ago was it? About a year ago, decided to give support to Tezos, but it never really caught on. We will be sunsetting Tezos support on Rarible. This decision allows us to redirect resources to enhance other features and blockchain integrations while continuing to provide the best experience to our users. So it never really worked out for Rarible and Tezos. If I was Rarible, they're in a weird situation because for whatever reason, they're almost seen, for lack of a better term, as the eBay of the NFT art scene to a certain degree from a branding perspective. I don't know if it's the name. I don't know what it is, but it's a hard, so you wonder from their point of view if it's worth it to just do a complete, like even a name change. But I mean, they're probably still doing well enough, but because they have all the tech, but people just don't gravitate towards that platform. And I can only speak for myself. Maybe there are a lot of people that do. Nothing against Rarible, but I mean, what do you make of this news story? It tells me that Tezos people did not migrate. But Tezos people have arguably, I would argue, the best NFT user interface with Object. And actually, speaking of user interface, what makes Object's user interface so good is notifications. And that kind of, I'd argue, the black background. Zora, you've got Mints. We just launched in-app notifications. So Zora continues to make inroads on the whole, I'd argue, on the whole Object Tezos scene. Get notified when people mint and comment on your work. And of course, Robness V2 was mentioning this on how Super Rare might consider doing that. Zora already had comments, but now they're saying, oh, look, you can have notifications here. And so pretty cool. And what you really want are notifications when an artist that you follow mints a work. That's what you need and want. That's what Object does, and it works beautifully. It's like social media, because otherwise you don't want to have to go to each artist's page to find out if they minted something. And you won't, for the most part. So I hope that also is when people mint and comment on your work. So this is what you need. Get notified when people mint. And then I guess a follow button, right? To follow the artists that you like. Because right now, like, for example, I just go to the homepage. It's mostly on Twitter that I end up putting Zora works on here. Because of it's hard to follow the artists and who has, all that time to go to everybody's page and everything. Continuing on, Corey Haber. Beyond thrilled to have 3 of my plotter paintings exhibited at Untitled Art Fair in Miami. Untitled's a pretty respectable, you might say, satellite art fair. As Art Basel, Miami Beach, I mean, again, I was there like 2012, and even back then, there was something like 10 other satellite fairs. So now I think they just call it Miami Art Week because there are so many fairs. Of course, Untitled is one of them, and one of the more kind of prestigious, I would say, of those kind of, you might say, secondary fairs. The exhibition is in the Tender booth. Amazing to see Gen Art breaking through at global art fairs. Now, this is Gen Art, interestingly. So I wonder if this was created with programming. The list of participating artists is remarkable. It is an honor to show alongside so much talent. I will be in Miami December 5th through 10th, so say hi if you're around. So just very cool. And I like how it looks like an oil stick, doesn't it? So continues to be super interesting, kind of halfway between painting and drawing. Kind of a nice solution. We might add to this whole, rather than paint plotting where you have to kind of dip it in the paint, a oil stick, you kind of still get oil paint, right? But it's still like a pen, so to speak. So you can kind of I'm surprised we haven't seen more of that, actually, because it's kind of you might say, the simplest solution to doing the paint plotting with paint. 8so, the ONDB art team is doing a great job setting things up. I wish I could be there to see the show at Luma Studios tonight. Here's them testing My Time Isn't Mine, my collab with Francesca, live on Foundation. So let's just hit watch again here. And so look at that. Kind of enveloping the viewer here. And there is a little bit of sound here. It's pretty quiet. So nice projection screens, isn't it? Aren't they? Nice experience. And I think we have another one here from Rinnyfish. Last night bugs in Luma Studio. Thanks for filming. So here we are. So again, just like enveloping the entire wall here with Rinnyfish. Look at that. And look on the right. So that's great. So congrats to both. Cool display there. And finally, Object 1. This is a picture from our latest show curated by Suntads. So this is Panopticon. Remember we were talking about Panopticon? It looks like they found the perfect... now, I think it was Jeremy Bentham, because we talked about Foucault, but Foucault was referring to, I think it was Jeremy Bentham. Shall we look really quickly? ChatGPT. Who invented the term Panopticon? Let's do this. There we go. Panopticon. Because this is actually was invented by English philosopher and social theorist Jeremy Bentham in the 18th century. I learned about this in 18th century. 18th century in the body. It was like English literature masters, seminar class, whatever. And then they give you a little bit of Foucault to read. The concept of the panopticon refers to a design for an institutional building that allows a single watchman to observe all inmates of an institution without the inmates being able to tell whether or not they are being watched. So kind of a precursor, we might say, of surveillance, of the whole surveillance mindset. Although originally intended for prisons, the concept has been applied in various other contexts and has become a metaphor in discussions about surveillance and power in modern society. Bentham's work on the panopticon was part of his larger project on utilitarianism and reform of society's institutions. Yeah, so interesting. So the panopticon there. And of course, here is Luciana Guerra. GM friends, tomorrow we have an in real life exhibition curated by the stunning Basket NFT. So here is Luciana's work in physical form here. So cool display here. And look at this. Mech.txt, just having done this great, I'd argue, semi-breakthrough on these MS-DOS works, and it almost feels like it's almost offshoot of the MS-DOS works. Look at this. I mean, could have easily started this show with this. Probably the reason I didn't is because we just started with Mech the other day, a week and a half ago. But this whole writing, painting with text or painting with making images through writing, this is pretty wild. Like, have we ever seen this before in this sort of way? I'm not sure. Like, I assume someone's done something like this, but this is pretty interesting. And even, and here it's just writing this text here. I have a couple more. Compiled 100 glyphs from Mechting. So here, we just see more of this sort of text being turned into image. And then so here at the bottom, it looks like maybe, so he's basically putting like 8BBB on the keyboard to draw. So this is quite something. This is like, this is exciting. It feels kind of pioneering. I'm sure someone's done something like this, but I can't actually think. Like, if anybody knows like someone who's basically done this before, I would be curious to hear what you have to I would be curious to know, and I'll happily show it here. Mech.txt, help me decide on a font's name. The font is the symbols typeface in this video. So again, this text turning into image, and I love the randomness of it because Mech just puts in his text, and then it's not like Mech knows what it's going to look like beforehand. You could tell with the 888B, there he's drawing, and he knows, and he kind of has an idea, okay, this is what I want to do. Here, you just take the text, and whatever comes out, comes out. Just super interesting work here. And close that. And one more here. So giving a nice array, look at this. It's like a little landscape. Now, is this like, surely this was just drawn out and not, yeah. So here, again, we're kind of back to this drawing with the letters rather than writing something down. But look at how gorgeous this is. Like, it basically is working on this whole, so he's basically, and again, like, what is he doing? He's taking a font, he's drawing, like, he's making a font that instead of letters, it shows images. And back to the wingdings, I think he was calling it, because there are all these, and he's basically taking the wingding, if I remember that term correctly, that font concept, and applying it, but then kind of, again, remixing it, putting in his own kind of MS-DOS-like tiles in. Absolutely fascinating. The results are quite aesthetically powerful. They're powerful. I mean, is mint on Bitcoin. This looks like a 2 kilobyte file, perhaps. Monomech, and here is more just work here, 1,111 Tezos, and you get the NFT of this great font here, CC0, interestingly. Continuing on into the works here, Popple. So this looks like unminted, but again, keeping with the kind of monster, almost like a zombie here, and then like a Mac Windows that's kind of glitched out in its own way. A very cool work from Popple here. 8,000 views here, 7,500 views over the last few hours here. This was beautiful. Hello, I Am You, Night and Light, drawing on iPad in November 2023. I thought a pretty nice work that appeared on my X feed and kind of reminded me even a little bit of the Futurists here, doesn't it? I mean, cars, and then you have like these, I think who was we're already at the 40-minute mark, and we're kind of like a third the way through here, so let's speed up a little bit. But all to say, kind of reminiscent of the Futurists a little bit. The Futurists even had a little bit of a pointillist sort of aspect, at least some of them. Like Umberto Boccioni, is it Carlo Cara, who did the car? And anyway, really nice piece. I don't know if it's been minted. Gloomtube, Sunny Side Up. And so a couple of, interesting works here as we see the grease here. Again, there's always this kind of urban nightmare at the edges here of Gloomtube's work, and even like the kind of Gloomtube happy face, but kind of frowning a little bit. Maybe the egg knows it's about to be eaten or something. And again, highlighting the grease. Another cool work from Gloomtube. Digital work, after doing quite a few physicals here, selling out at 10 Tezos each, edition of 20, now 25 on secondary. Nice piece by Wasteman Goldminovich. Unfortunately, I missed it. 99-cent Big Mac. And I think I got all the breakfast menu. So Big Mac, that is McDonald's Mac. It almost looks like a Whopper, though, doesn't it? But I guess that's a Big Mac. Yeah, and there's like even the Big Mac sauce color and everything. Anyway, nice piece from Wasteman Goldminovich. Open edition for a couple of days there, selling for only $1 each. Great work. And this sold to Gloomtube. Actually, thank you, Gloomtube, for the secondary acquisition of Bill Gates. A portrait, and thanks as always, Shiga, for the flipping. So, again, I think this is using Microsoft Paint like an oil tool. I've never used Microsoft Paint, at least not extensively or recently, but I think that's what it uses. Nice texture in the background here. I thought a really nice piece. It might be an older work. Even over here, all this sort of stuff. This little almost like flicks of paint. You know what this looks like? It looks like he changed the color, but he covered the whole thing or used his mouse. And there's a few parts that were left empty, and that's a really nice here as well. That's a really nice effect. It gives a painterliness to this digital image, and I think it's actually a pretty cool portrait here. So nice work from Wasteman Goldminovich. As we continue our gallery tour here, brand new rustic digital art. So Yuri J posted this. I couldn't find where this was minted, if it's minted, rustic digital art. So interesting piece here. It looks like it would be a great, looks like they should collaborate, doesn't it? It almost has a bit of a Yuri J feel to it, this piece. I could see why Yuri J liked it. And interesting, just rode down into this church. And just nice piece here from Rustic Digital Art. Here, who tweeted this out? I think it might have been Mikey Wilson. I think. We'll see if Mikey's in the collectors here. Indeed, Mikey Wilson tweeted this out, Dynamic Life. I'd never seen this artist before. So it kind of looks like a physical work in some parts of it, seemingly. combined with digital, and then even some, lines over top that are kind of animated over top. Little animations kind of here and there in the crow's head. Dynamic Life, interesting artist. I never heard of them. Recollapse. Interesting title. Looks like they have quite a few, so giving them a follow. Another discovery here, and look at this. They have a ton of work. So yeah, something to discover. Look at that. Should we look at Dry Autumn? A pretty nice work. Art, Recollapse, keep making. So hard to tell if these are 100% digital or not, but pretty nice work. Interesting. Nuv 1914. Interesting juxtaposition here. This flower is gorgeous on the right here and just incredibly original, right? I mean, consistent with Nuv's style. But again, to make these decisions, I think requires a certain amount of boldness and courage. Same with this green, these outrageous green, side gradients here. There's even maybe a little tiny bit there, not sure. And here you have like this teddy bear with a flower. Really interesting work, probably only selling for 10 Tezos. Sold to video. Took six hours, I think. Incredibly. Rinnyfish. My art will be shown. So Rinnyfish is all over the place, right? My art will be shown in the animation category of NFT New York City 2024 Community Artist Showcase. Congratulations. Thanks for selecting my bugs. So the bugs continue to permeate the light here, the walls of all these art shows. So nice work, Rinnyfish. And we did a Twitter space out of China. We did a Twitter space with Rinny just, 3 or 4 months ago. That is in the Spotify. So we're looking at the work in progress from Jimmy, who had made kind of I wouldn't call it an updated version, a new work. And of course, he had that classic work, which I showed of the guy playing the guitar on Tezos. I consider it a total Tezos classic there. And so this work on Solana went up. It was a 1 of 1, sold for 7.69 Sol. I mean, what's Solana at? Let's just call it 55. I mean, 300. Let's call it $400. $400. Nice work, Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy has a lot of collectors, though, I might add. Like, there were a few different bidders here. So, yeah. And actually, the person who came in at the end hadn't even bid before. So, probably just holding fire until the end there. After School Hideaway, MP4, 72 frames, 12 frames per second. Interesting, slow, just a really interesting artist. I mean, $400. Nice work, Jimmy. Jordy Gandel. This was a slightly different kind of work. Of course, Jordy Gandel often makes those city works. You can see it in the background here. Here it's kind of like blue and white, a little bit more texture. Disagreement with your inner child. So interesting print work. This looks like it would go perfectly as a Rezo print, by the way. It looks like a Rezo print. So very nice work here. That's 12 Tezos, probably 9 left on primary. Edition of 25, Daniel W., Haunted by Mistakes. So let's look at this. A couple of more from this series here, Hauntology Fragments. And of course, Daniel W., we also did a space with Daniel W. out of Brazil. So all around the world here, these great artists that we're profiling here. Super interesting. So more haunted works. And of course, Demon Ego was doing the haunted works there as well, or very influenced by horror, shall we say. So just really interesting to see that influence. And there's another one here, and this is 5 Tezos edition of 25. Let me just make this bigger. It's kind of a poetic work here, and nice animation. It's like takes a composition and just kind of brings it to life in NFT world here. So cool work here. How many frames is this? Does it say 10 frames per second, frame by frame animation, and AI? And so that's interesting. Almost like I like it. We talk about sometimes here, AI here as well. We talk about how AI is starting to permeate in more and more subtle ways. Like maybe at a certain point, AI is just going to be like using Photoshop. Like it's sort of just another tool and you don't necessarily announce that you use Photoshop. Right now we do. It's like helpful, but very interesting. So incorporating AI. Kodo Nakazono and Ranixdeer in a collaboration here. So that is pretty cool. I wonder why it took so long to a certain degree because it almost looks like their styles harmonize actually really well. Nice. I love the pink background, frankly. This flat negative space. profoundly important, and it really just brings the whole piece together. And of course, you see what looks like Kota Nakazono kind of dynamic object here, animation, and what looks like Rannoch steer here in these kind of still sculptures, seemingly. Although perhaps this little bottom area is Kota Nakazono. Great collaboration there. 16 Tezos, edition of 20. Oh, so that is on secondary, selling out at 10 Tezos each on primary. Great work. So 20 editions, so nice 200 Tezos haul there, 100 Tezos each. Sean Luke, very. So edition of 20. So looking like cherries here are being given the Sean Luke treatment in this work here. Kind of cool. Almost, somewhere between pixel art, video glitch animation, and something else. And, so just an interesting artist. 30 frames, 12 megabytes, 720 by 720. All interesting information. Just transferred probably to previous collectors. Probably. Continuing on. So here is Score, Saiko. And I wonder if this is in collaboration. Not sure who did the music on this, but I know her husband does music. So new work by Score. I think part of the same show. That Rennie Fish and Eitzo are in, the ONBD show. Great music. Beautiful work. This must look incredible on a wall. Kind of epic. Nice transitions there, too. Eternal Scape. And again, 3D scanner. Keeping on with the 3D scanner. Super interesting. I think this is Kuro. Or owned by... Yeah, this is Kuro. Current bid. So there's a bid on it from Jimmy. Jimmy. I thought just another really nice piece. These kind of like... video glitch abstracts, they're just beautiful. They are beautiful. They look like paintings. They look like animated paintings, video paintings. 0.05 ETH, so nice. What is that? 100, still $100. Nice. So nice price. Nice. Everything's kind of lining up nicely there. 0.05. Like, I was thinking to myself, I put a work on Tezos for 220. I was thinking to myself, maybe I should have, I might still burn it. I was like, maybe I should just put that on ETH for 0.1, right? Because then it's a lot more kind of like, oh, it's only 0.1. It's not 220 Tezos, So interesting. You got to be kind of pretty smart about your blockchain and just what you choose. Like I almost find, like for me, a bit of a takeaway is for lower priced works, Tezos is awesome. But maybe as the price goes higher, maybe you move over to ETH or even Solana. But let's say ETH where, okay, then it's like 0.05. Well, surely I can afford that, is what you say to yourself. But really, it's like probably 100 Tezos, maybe 120 Tezos, interestingly. So we learn every day here. Kurt Hustle Collective with a beautiful, unfortunately for me, it's a minute and a half. But just an awesome... This is another great satirical video, really, but beautiful art, kind of ambiguous, from Kurt Hustle Collective. This is on Tezos. Let the dream wash over you. I love it. I mean, pretty fun. They make their own music too. Stay a while in your space. So I'd love to play the whole thing. Just stay here. And I think it comes to like and repeat. And then it's like bye now, I think. Breathe. And repeat. I thought I saw at one point. It sounded like an infomercial. All to say, very cool work. Only 9 Tezos. Edition of 18. On Object. So cool work there. And here's another one. I thought this was hilarious. Look at what happens to the goldfish. Turns into a broken image. Nice music again. If you can hear that. Hilarious. I've never seen that before, but hilarious. Almost like this cutout fish. And nice variation too. Like I keep hoping there it comes back again. I had to see it one more time. Just brilliant. Kurt Hustle Collective, 1997 of the future. Just great artists there. Ex Mortal. Look at this, kind of a little more abstract here. From Ex Mortal, just some noise, really, but pretty cool work. I think open edition. 0 minted so far, only 6 hours left. Maybe you get an Ex Mortal for a 1 of 1 for 2 Tezos. That can happen. That can happen if things fly under the radar. Oh, no, several were sold. Several were sold. I probably need to reload the page. Jimmy. So I think this is the person that who bid on Kiro's work, actually, and I didn't even know that happened. Interesting work. It's a lot of flashes here, so I'm going to pause it here. And actually, going through here just frame by frame is also interesting. So just interesting kind of gradient abstract artwork here. And this was interesting too from Acid Boy. So of course we saw the work from the other day, and then it looks like Acid Boy is applying other algorithms from previous works, right? But then giving it that dot treatment, which is interesting. So yeah, I mean, Acid Boy, just really interesting. Could probably mint like 30 works a day if you can start to combine all these things together. And you have that great ring there. Very cool work. We'll see where it gets minted. But it has already minted on ordinals. Look at this, Perfect Loop. Never heard of this artist before, but wow. What a work. There's something very, what I would call psychologically fulfilling about this work. Like when the runner here, first it's kind of like, running away from this thing, and then it gets into this, and then it's just so satisfying. And even here, running, like there's something very, I want to say dreamlike about it. Dreamlike in the sense that, how dreams sometimes just work out? There's something very dreamlike in that respect to this work. It just works, like the logic of the work. It's a dream logic here. It works out. Brilliant work here. And there you see the big runner man. Like, I mean, it's brilliant. Like I feel like Salvador Dali would be like, great work, Perfect Loop. I've never seen or heard of Perfect Loop before. Let's see. Okay, so offers are coming in. None sold yet. Nice offers coming in. So give them a follow. Interesting artist. Look at that. Wow. Escape. Maybe we did see Escape. So this is interesting. This artist may be in the process of making a bit of a breakthrough here. Hard to say. Look at that. Kind of like a Tron thing. Perfect Loop on object. More endless talent on object here. Endless discoveries. Been doing this show a year, and it's like over a year, and still regularly making discoveries. Adam Swab. How are we doing here for time? I'm going to speed up. I know Kung Fu. Just another kind of interesting animated abstract. Pretty cool. Again, very satisfying. It like fulfills a logic of a dream here to a certain degree. It's like it's like the perfect Tetris game. I think we were talking about the Tetris phenomenon where you're going to sleep after playing Tetris all day and it all fits perfectly. That's what those two works remind me of. They're just, they're completing the logic, which is super interesting. Dave, very interesting animated abstract work here of a cube changing shape. Beautiful transitions there. And this is collected Ole by Notan Mariana. So this is Notan Mariana, posted by Illusional. Just give that person a follow here. And so just another interesting kind of wild masking going on here. Animated abstract, keeping it new. Here's Santiago Ruao. Good night. So I'd never seen this one before by Santiago. Of course, we know Santiago's work from more of these works here. This is an open edition on Tezos, Tensión, drawing painting by Santiago Ruao, $2.50, two Tezos, 50 cents, 4 minted, 5 days to go. Look at John. I thought this was gorgeous. It almost had a bit of a holiday feeling to it. Sold for 303 Tezos, Living Room 09 by John Carroll. These great pixelated fire cubes, fire pixels. And there's the fireplace here. Just beautiful work. Very nice piece. And Pamelo Corone, collab with Jada RS on Arzora. So this is interesting. A couple of collabs, or maybe they're the same collab. We'll see in a second here. pretty interesting to see Pamelo Chirone's work, maybe is how you pronounce that. Pamelo Chirone kind of glitched out here. Pretty interesting. I think very nice piece. Here are a couple of other examples here. Very nice work here in this collaboration with, I think, Jada is the other person. So super interesting there. Stock Psychwood collab with Cyberhens. So again, Pamelo Chirone doing, I'm learning Italian. I think you pronounce that cha. Vuela Peluchas. And they're collaborating with Cyberhens, and we went to Cyberhens' page there. This is another huge work here. Pamelo Chirone, Nefetes Sudak, hey Zora fam, here's something incredible. After more than a month, we were able to fix the code, and the game is up and running. Well, I mean, the master of masters, Jay Pupper. So that person probably did the code here, Julian Pupo, and mint this legendary NFT collection. And here, let me just show it to you. So Pam Particles video game. And so check this out. So I think you click on it. You see there's a start button here, right? And maybe arrows. Move the mouse and grab everything. So let's see if we can play again. Oh, maybe you're supposed to hit it with your mouse. Oh, that's pretty cool. So more interactive art. Pretty cool. And it probably just gets harder. Nice, simple game. And points. I mean, that's really cool. You could see kids loving this game. I mean, couldn't you? Glitchtown Arcade. Really nice piece here. From Glitchtown Arcade. Tennis game. I don't know if I've ever seen people to use the tennis game. Really nice. Just glitch here too. Just a really, really nice, solid piece here. Liked it a lot, especially that kind of transition in the middle with all the noise. 420 edition of 10. There are 10 left. So very cool work there. Silva Santus, Red Planet, Air Cavalry. And so I guess a kind of space game here as we cross a planet and everything here. Sometimes these are like 30 seconds. You see 240 frames. So there we go. We got the loop. And here's another one by Silva Santus, Olympic Summer Games. So it looks like someone doing hurdles. So that is pretty awesome. Let me see if we can make that big. Yeah, so I mean, pretty cool. Pretty cool work here. Here's another one, Mason the Third. So lots of glitch ROMs today. Usually Mason has pretty good music too. Very nice music, as usual. Mason the Third. Looks like maybe a video processor on top. Poetic with the help. Very nice work. I bet that's like a minute or two. Let's just say 2 minutes. It's a full song. By now, one of edition of 5. 200 Tezos. Mason the Third, is that primary? Kind of, yeah. So burning 10 of them, sold the first 3 for 5. Now, if you want the next one, that's 200 Tezos. Nice piece from Mason. Here's another one, low edition. Also, it's probably last one on primary, selling for 200. Maybe it's good. With the holidays coming, we look at some glitch ROM work. And it just appeared like a lot of, again, it's interesting how the ROM work, the glitch ROM work, persists, right? Like it's not boring. Like it keeps going and people keep doing it and it keeps being interesting. I thought this was a great concept. Truman Show by Ricano. Ricano's always got a lot of great concepts here. So I haven't seen that show for a very long time. I was just talking to someone about it the other day. They're like, you got to watch that again. And I remember loving it the first time. So Truman Show. So the references, I guess there's Jim Carrey, of course, but maybe there's more to it than meets the eye here, because that was kind of a meta movie, so to speak. 1 of 1 for 50 Tezos. Renato Marini. This was a beautiful work. I might have found this in Haiti Roquette's collection. Just another example. I think it was. But this is the kind of great work you'll find. I think it was his collection. Let's look at the collectors here. Yeah, hard to say. It was Human Boy, Somfey, Teganhoff. So maybe a Pixel Lord, Gogolitis. Yeah, I mean, one of one. You kind of got to have an all-star cast here. So maybe it wasn't Haiti Rocket. Either way, it was in someone's collection. I thought, nice piece, really cool. Many options. Pixel, glitch, art, animation. So as these mediums or these genres kind of blend into each other, look at this stunning work by Manidal, Carousel. First drop on mint.fun, which of course is on Zora. So it looks like an open mint from Manidal. So continuing now with Zora and on mint.fun. As we saw in that tweet from a few days ago, you know, those other platforms on Zora are picking up steam. Violet Trip, my furry friend. So another one of these, another black and white kind of dithered artwork with a bit of a video game feeling to it. Kind of hilarious. And a little glitch in there too. Again, pixel art and glitch kind of combining a little bit here. So, very cool. Let me see if I can pause that. There we go. So, edition of 10, now 666, and there are 10 left. MyFurryFriend.exe, 1-bit music made on a Game Boy. So, the video games continued to permeate the art here. One of one collected another KidPix landscape. This one is 03 by Notan Mariana, and we just saw Notan Mariana. So, Notan Mariana also using KidPix. Of course, Hasdrubal Waffle really sings the praises of KidPix, and I think Byte by Bit also uses KidPix. Jean Provencher with another cool work. I don't think we saw this one. Really cool, just kind of even compression on this, if I understand this work properly. Just another interesting work here. And of course, Walk 915. So this seems to be a continuation of the September 11th series that are going on auction every day with Walk's kind of trademark digital style here. One of one at auction for 6 Tezos. Augmented reality as a series. Sky Goodman. I think Ivan is one of the most brilliant artists I've ever known. Here's Ivan Hugo. New GLB canvas on Solana in a few hours. So you wonder, GLB canvas. Interesting. So it'd be interesting to actually see what the final mint is going to look like. If this is the final mint or if it's going to be interactive. Because, of course, GLB, usually they're interactive, aren't they? Interesting piece. Here's a GLB. This is Sabato with Lidice Silvera, Chimera in the Cathedral. So a pretty cool work here. GLB 3D model 2023, and this is a one of one. Let's just see what happened to it. Sent to Bijou, so maybe a commission here. Pretty interesting piece. No Hygiene with another work here. Cool too, made with Midjourney. These very edgy AI artworks here. I mean, totally original. And who was singing the praises? I think it was Yuri J. Here's another one by No Hygiene. Yuri J, nice to see an artist working with AI and not trying to emulate rudimentary paint textures, but expressing his vision through the eyes of the creature I hopefully never will meet. I hopefully never meet. So here's another one. Sold to Yuri J. And these often sell for about, 6 Tezos or so. So cheap way to get some cool original one of ones, No Hygiene. More AI work, Olivera Durdovic, Fluffy Generation Gap. Transferred to 0009, and here is the work. So cool AI work here, nice colors. And here is Mikey Wilson. Created a collection of 10 one-of-one AI portraits. BMS, what does it mean? Collection celebrates the weirdness of AI art and the tenacity of those who are still here, braving the cold crypto winter by learning to tame the bear. And here is the collection here. So doing pretty well. It looks like it's sold out here. Selling for 30 Tezos each. Nice haul. I mean, 300 Tezos here. It looks like for the 10 works here. Good deal for everybody. Mikey Wilson is a pretty good at pricing and of doing things. I mean, a great collector. So he really understands how to do that. Lily Illo, Chairs and Architects series. So another edition. I think my favorite part is this kind of almost like it's cropped the bottom of the next work or the top of the next work at the bottom here. And this crazy wild leg here, even the reflection coming in, the light and the wild glasses there too. So that's Lily Illo. And yeah, so probably I think part of the Chairs and Architects series. And this is Salawaki with an AI artwork. I believe this is AI, 3D art, image, JPEG. I'm not positive if it's AI art. It says 3D render. This is where I post from a Mr. Beast 3 billionth subscriber, kidnapped by Mr. Beast and Tracy Emin. And Tracy Emin, of course, being famous for the beds. So interesting work here. Maybe this isn't AI. This could just be like a 3D render, actually. That probably is, because I think Salawaki works with that. Interesting. Again, AI is just... it's blurring the lines. Like, I think this is AI over here with Little Cakes. Thanks for including In Need of Repair in your shopping. So Mopi Wellington picked this one up. I thought it was a great piece. I hadn't seen that one. Beautiful work from Little Cakes. And here, of course, is Strange Thing. Some more wild textures in the canvas here. And here you see basically kind of a construction worker, city worker doing a painting. Again, what kind of I find remarkable, I mean, there's several things I find remarkable, but how, again, it's taking, like, it's really doing a persuasive job of creating a kind of the spirit of a Renaissance painting, but doing it but it's unrecognizable. Is that an uncanny valley? I mean, we were talking about Danielle King there with it looks authentic, but you can tell it's fake, that sort of thing. There's something kind of, I see that here in Strange Things AI artwork too, and interesting where it gets super 3D here, but then it's almost flat with the paint on the canvas here. Interesting piece. Symphony number 4, airdrop to Supreme Collector holders incoming later today. Nice. And here, of course, is Tukes. Surreal calm washes over the lakeside. So another beautiful work here by Tukes, kind of reminiscent of that one where you got 1 million views on Twitter, on X. Look at this. I don't know if you've seen this artist. Found this on Instagram. Flowers in a Glass Vase by Adam Lister Studio. 70,000 followers, so maybe a lot of you already know. It looks like Dan Control has liked this one. Tree Skull Town. So maybe I'm late to the party here, but really nice work here. And you see part of the construction of these wild kind of digital looking paintings, 16 by 20, edition of 50 prints, interestingly. And you can see here their style that looks like a Tyrannosaurus Rex skull, maybe an old ape skull, and there's a human. So really interesting artist here. Could easily mint on the blockchain. Here's another one, Gata Ammer, found on Instagram, A Woman's Voice, just kind of cool. Cool, kind of pixelated, but kind of looks like maybe, an Arab script almost. It kind of has that feeling to it, but who knows? Maybe it's just a pixelated work. Another one here, is this Tim Lahan, who does these very kind of hard-edged, kind of, but manual, kind of pixelized works with very soft, almost airbrushed, or perhaps airbrushed, works within those masks. Great contrast here. Beautiful strawberry. Bobik Matija, 3 wolves that went shopping, 60 by 40 acrylic and charcoal on unprimed canvas. So we saw this artist earlier. I don't think we saw this one. These great shoes here. And it's quite interesting. Acrylic and charcoal on unprimed canvas. So maybe that's part of the reason part of the secret sauce here, other than the great compositions. We really can't minimize the great compositions here. Very edgy. Look at the shoe on the side here. And all this, just really interesting artist. Nugget Brain with another interesting piece. More fun times in the world of wacky wax pastels. So here, I mean, this looks like some sort of candy maker. Look at that one. Hulkamania. Just wax pastels, just really great artist doing the world map. I assume that's the artist there. And, a foosball. Is that what it's called? Look, you see how big the map is? Just love this artist. And here, of course, we've seen Jesse Maxson before. Look at this epic work here. I mean, there's a ton of great work on Instagram that I'm seeing here. And it's really remarkable. It's kind of interesting how maybe the big galleries are on this stuff, but I don't really see it. This person is probably with a pretty big gallery, because we've seen a lot of their work here. 20,000 followers with Lyles and King. Shall we look? Lyles and King, 30,000. Bad Sleeper opening. So where are they based? Estefania, Puerta. Not sure where they're based. Interesting. Continuing on, Alex Gray releases the work. So there it is. What was this called again? The Green Hand, maybe? The Green Hand is a symbol of united vision and action to preserve the life web. So working with green here and almost this animal eye here. It looks like an animal eye, but within the hand. So again, the great visionary artwork of Alex Gray, 28,000 views. And Alex Gray is very, very famous, I would argue. It's Hard Rock. If you've been to a Hard Rock cafe, they probably, almost all of them have Alex Gray on the wall, for example. And, that's been a tourist staple for decades, right? Only 28,000 views, you could argue. Like, a lot of people in this scene are getting like similar, if not higher numbers, interestingly. Jordan Ferguson, another piece from the summer, acrylic on canvas. Wild work here with the drop shadow. This is acrylic on canvas. Again, using spray, it's like airbrush and spray are really, I don't know if I'd call it a trend, but it's tempting. Here's another interesting artist, Zoe Kim, Walking You Home. There's this work, and then we'll also go to this work, Christmas Reading List. As Thanksgiving Day is here, so the Christmas season really getting started. Christmas reading, really cool piece here, isn't it? Would make a nice card, wouldn't it? Zoe Kim. And here's another one, Toma 184, and just interesting rabbit here. Is that colored pencils? Not exactly sure. Almost has a bit of a medieval feel to it, a little bit. So cool work there. And of course, Bondoso Bandido with more stunning work. Art test, so a crash test dummy as artists, all artists dumb, but we also get sad. Really cool. I guess that's the art, kind of portrait of an artist of sorts. Really cool work, though, from this artist. Like that contrast between the airbrush and just like the paint, the acrylic paint is wonderful. Here's another one. Outdoor activities we don't do anymore. Great subject matter, great crops, even just painting over old works and leaving it bleed through, seemingly. Just really, you got to love the carefreeness and not worrying about it making it look like a masterpiece, which ironically almost makes it look really good. So that kind of carefreeness, right? Not worrying about it being perfect, working with the mistakes. Really brilliant work here from this artist. And walk with some shoes. Let's look at the shoes. I love sneakers. Really nice, pretty tight, clean, neat piece here of sneakers by Walk. So nice work there. And this is also by Walk. Brilliant, I would argue. Brilliant and beautiful. And that, my friend, is your show. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, take care.